right, welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I'm your host, James Fauntleroy. It's good to see everybody here today in the chat. The Jaybefaunt show is also available on all major podcast platforms like Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. You can subscribe on there. I'm part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, and you can find me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RBN. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you are new to the channel. Please make sure to smush down that subscribe button because the algorithm doesn't like us. And if you do, then I do promise you cookies. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I can get them through the screen. But I also want to give a shout out to my patrons on Coffee. I just want to thank you all for your additional support because you guys have been helping me keep the lights on, so to speak. So I want to thank people like David Michael, Gush Renata, Socialist came in, Rebecca, See the Change, Robin During, Michelle De Village, Spunky Wombat, Robin, Eric Thomas, Carrie Matthews, Paco Mendoza Gomez, and to my anchor supporters, Anthony Fazio and Jeffrey Kramer. Today, as you guys can see on the thumbnail, I actually have one of the people who is a resource to those of us in this space, who has been such a huge help to all of us navigate what the mainstream media has been saying. Case Study QB is with me here today, live and in charge.
Yo, my man JB, how you doing?
Good to see you.
It's great to see you. It's great to see Kid in the chat too, my man.
Yo, Kid Cabello, what's up? Good to see you as well.
Yeah. I'm so excited to get to be with my guy. Usually it's us, and we're both like guests on another show. But I got you all to myself, so let's get into it.
Yeah. You know what? And I didn't say this to you when we were off air, but I want to say this to you live. The way you carry yourself is such a genuine and sincere way that I think that a lot of us on the left should take to heart of how to act.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Because you're one of the people who, even if there's a disagreement, you're like, okay, we can kind of have dialogue with it. We can discuss it. But if you want to go this route, that's okay with you. But I'm going to go the way that I feel that's right. But I hope we can always still come to the middle. And I think that's something that you embody, which I deeply respect. And I think that I should try and embody more. So thank you for being an example for me.
Man, I appreciate that so much. And to say that, I definitely want to emphasize that I think that on the left, and I call it the left ecosystem, we all have difference of opinions. We all, and that's fine. I'm trying to create an environment where it's okay for us to disagree, right? As long as we continue to have enough respect, let's keep it at that level. We don't have to love each other. We don't, even though I love my man JB, but for example, between the Jimmy Dores of the world and TYTs of the world, and that we need our, whether people like it or not, they have a lot of subscribers, and so you could pretty much call them leaders in the movement, right? And we need them to be able to get along so that when a Forced to Vote Part 2 comes, or when a March for Medicare for All on Washington, D.C. comes along, we need both of them to be on board with something like that, right? Yeah. Imagine they're telling their audience, hey, go to this event, and they're both promoting the same event. Now, you don't have to be on the stage. Let's say it's a Medicare for All kind of rally. They don't have to be on stage holding hand, kumbaya together, but they can promote the same thing, and then at different times go up there and help publicize that. And only then can we get left change. And the last thing I would say is that when FDR, and I know a lot of people have beef with the way the New Deal was implemented, but nobody can argue that it was pushed by communists, it was pushed by socialists, it was pushed by the left, and they had a coalition called the New Deal Coalition, and they pushed FDR to do the things that he did. Now, it wasn't all adequate, but the point I'm trying to make is, communists and socialists, they don't get along. By default, they're communists for a reason. They're socialists. Otherwise, they'll all be the same thing. But they were able to find ways to say, hey, you know what? We don't agree on everything, but let's on this thing, the Social Security thing, let's push for that. This other thing over here, let's push for that. So I'll give it back to you, Jay.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate that, because a lot of times we have to come to a consensus. And I quote the late Michael Brooks when he said, "Be kind to people, but be ruthless to institutions and systems."
100%.
And so I'm a work in progress, and I'm trying to be more kinder to people, while still maintaining that ruthlessness to institutions and systems that oppress people. So
100%. We all are. So I love the fact that you acknowledge that. And I think that it's very big of you. And we're going to get there. I'm optimistic.
We're going to get there.
Yeah.
I love your optimism, man. It's infectious, and I need to have it back. So I appreciate it. So one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about first was that you started Case Study, and you've given us a way to see clips from mainstream media and what we're saying, so that we don't have to sit through the hours and the time of their coverage, by the way, which we are very grateful for, because a lot of us really don't want to sit through that. It's like you're making the sacrifice that makes you the MVP.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
But can you give us a brief summary into how did you get into that, and what inspired you to move into this independent media space?
Thank you so much. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Wear Pilgrim. Much love to you. So back in the 2020 election, so when the primaries was about to start really getting at the height of it. So I guess I would say late 2018, I guess. Let me go back a little bit and talk about my political evolution. Back in 2007, I really got into politics. So this is how ignorant I was on politics. Back when I did my first election, my very, very first presidential election, I voted for John Kerry. I remember there's a whole bunch of us college kids, and we always like, oh, let's go vote. And I just went along with the crowd. And I went into the booth and I went to vote for John Kerry, but I said, wait a minute. There's a Constitution Party, Green Party, Libertarian Party. Like, what? Wait, I didn't know there was other choices outside of Republican and Democrat. So I did vote for John Kerry, but that was the only time that I ever voted for a Democrat at the presidential level. And then the next, I didn't get political into politics right away. One thing that the first thing I remember is like, I felt cheated. I felt like I didn't know these other people. I need to know I need to do my homework before voting. So anyway, I didn't get into politics just then. The next time I started really getting into politics was 2007. And Ron Paul came on the scene. I remember going to work and I saw a newspaper said, oh, this guy Ron Paul got smacked down in the debate. So I went to my job and I looked on YouTube. And in the debate, it was Giuliani who said, oh, they hate us because they hate us over there, overseas. They hate us just because they hate us. And Ron Paul was like, no, they hate us because we've been bombing them for all these years. And I was like, which one makes more sense? They hate us because they hate us, or they hate us because we've been bombing their families and killing all their friends. And okay, let me listen to this guy, Ron Paul. So I definitely became a Ron Paul person for about a year. And then I discovered a guy named Tom Hartman, where he has a show. And I know a lot of people, every time I mention Tom Hartman, people say, oh, he's like a liberal kind of guy. And he is very friendly to like the Tom Perez. But I got to give him credit. He brought me over to the progressive side because he used to debate conservatives. Like that's a big part of his show. He had like a 3-hour radio show, and he loved bringing on conservatives to debate them. And at the time, being a Ron Paul's person, I was on that side, and I was thinking of had that frame of mind. But the more I listened to Tom Hartman, the more I'm like, okay, this guy is making more and more sense. That's why something with me that will always be in me is I like to hear both sides of an argument. And even if people try to demonize whatever that other side is, so one very a situation or a topic that's very inflammatory is vaccines, right? So to me, the media, they demonize Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And so they would tell you, like, never listen to this guy. Listen to Fauci. But I would pay money if I had $1 million. I would love to say, hey, here's $1 million that you guys could split. I want to hear a debate between Fauci and Robert Kennedy Jr. Even though Robert Kennedy Jr. is apparently on some like top 10 list of anti-vax people, whatever. I don't care about all that. I want to hear, as long as everybody's a good faith actor. Like, if I know you're lying and you're trying to deceive, and then I don't need to talk to you. But as both people are good faith actors, that's what I like to hear. So I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot. So let me get to the straight point. Appreciate it. So I got into politics that way, and I became a political junkie. I just was watching hours and hours of documentaries. I found out about Fred Hampton from YouTube. I had a job that I worked at night, and I had a ton of free time. So I was watching a lot of documentaries, a lot of different things, and really getting into politics. So I started tweeting, or not tweeting, DMing my pops or just messaging him clips and different YouTube clips, and he would watch them and we would discuss. And it got to a point where I was thinking, like, okay, I think other people would enjoy these clips, right? So I started off on YouTube. I created a YouTube page, Case Study QB, and started putting up the whole clips on YouTube. And it started gaining traction to the point where it's getting a lot of views, 70,000 views. It was on Reddit, and a lot of views went viral. And I was like, wow, this is really working. But what happened was I kept getting copyright strikes, right? Thank you for showing that. And the copyright strikes, you always hear about people getting banned, people getting their channels taken away and all that stuff. So I got scared and I took down all the, even though they had a ton of hundreds of thousands of views, because it was just straight up mainstream media clips, Nina Turner, Bree, Joy Gray, and other people. But I took them down and I started putting up my own. Every Monday at 8, I do a show called Political Junkies. And then outside of that, I do shows here and there. So for example, even today, I interviewed one of my people's Gauntlet, we might talk about later on my show. So you could see that. But somebody in the comments section said, hey, why don't you do this on Twitter? Like putting up the news clips and put it on Twitter. And at first I was like, nah, I don't need another social media. It's going to be more work. But because I was thinking about the transition, I was like, man, I'm getting too many copy strikes on YouTube. Let me try this Twitter thing. And so Twitter only has 2 minutes and 20 seconds that you can have. But I started splitting them up, putting up on Twitter. Now, recently, they came out with something called Twitter Blue, which allows you just pay $4 a month, and they automatically allow you to get up to 10 minutes video. So I've been doing that. And I'll tell you this, JB, one thing about me, as much as it's tempting to do 20-second clips that are really hot takes, and sometimes you might take people out of context, I take pride in giving you the full context. So I would listen to something on MSN, and if I hear, even if it's a soundbite, I'm like, man, okay, this is something I want the progressive community to know about. I will still give you like maybe 20 seconds before and 20 seconds after, so you can I want you to get the full context. I don't want to be unfair to even like Republicans, even neoliberals that we might not like. And I think Jason, what's his name, that always beef with Brianna, he said
Dr. Jason Johnson,
that guy, right? Even him, he's had some good takes, and I would clip it and I would put it up there. I'm not going to be unfair, but then he's had bad takes and I would clip it. But I want to be fair even to people with bad takes. I would give the beginning part and the end, so you could kind of get the full grasp. But you still see it as a bad take. But some people might just cut out that little bit of part and try to make the person look bad, like almost intentionally. But I want to be a resource for the community, and thankfully I've become that they can at least get the full clip. And if they decide to clip it down even more, I let them. They could do that. But I like to give the full context, if that makes sense.
But that's called being an honest actor, though.
Thank you. Trying to be, yeah.
You know, because you do it without bias. And so since you do that without bias, then it gives the people the chance to be able to make up their own mind based on the information that's been submitted to them, which we deeply appreciate. And so I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah. That's the part of me that I'm like I said, when it comes to debates, I want to hear both sides. So I want to get the full view. So I approach that with my channel as well.
Yeah, of course. You're meaning for it just to be a resource, not an echo chamber.
Yeah. Like, so for example, was recently Biden came out and he's had that bad take that I've been chatting about on my show yesterday, was that Biden said that George Floyd's death was more significant than MLK's death. Did you see that clip?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was crazy. Maybe I don't know if can I share my screen and you can show it?
Yeah, you can. I think you should be able to. I just gotta approve it.
Yeah, no worries. I'll try to see if I can work on that. But in the meantime, so he said that, and we were all flabbergasted. But one of the person on the panel was like, "Wait, I wonder. I'm just curious what he said before. Like, what was the full context? Because you never know. It sounds crazy." And I said, "I don't know the context. This is not my clip. Otherwise, I would have clipped the whole context." But I was like, let's just judge it on his face. And then we talked about it on his face. And yeah, that's absolutely crazy that a progressive leader like MLK, who was, if his death didn't happen, who knows what heights we would have reached if he would have continued living, and not to disparage George Floyd at all. He did start a movement, but you have a leader that is almost like, what if, and I'm not comparing them either, but what if Bernie was about to run in 2016 and then he died? God forbid, right? Then we wouldn't have Medicare for All as popular as it was. All these people that inspired. Somebody from the Starbucks recently said that Bernie inspired them to try to. So that's why they're trying to unionize Starbucks. All these different things that, as much as mad as we are, including myself, at Bernie, the way he did certain things, we can't deny that he inspired a whole generation of leftists.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, as far as that whole thing, where from what you just told me, the difference between the two is one was actually trying to start a movement, and the other one had no intention, wasn't trying to start a movement. He was just trying to buy a few things at the convenience store.
Yeah.
Whether it was intentional or not, but at the same time, you can think that if something like that happened to me, I would want a movement to start, even though I didn't intend it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of oppression Olympics-esque to me. It's like a human life is a human life. They're all equal the same to me.
Yeah.
The impact that Dr. King made, you can't deny how major it was. And the thing is that from someone like Joe Biden's mind, yeah, they're equal because he's focusing just on the racial aspect of it. When we think about it, we're not only talking about the racial aspect of it, we're talking about the economic aspect of it as well. Because he actually was pushing for the economic rights, not just of Black people, but for all people.
Yeah, poor people's march.
Yeah. And right when he tried to start a poor people's campaign, that's when he was assassinated.
Exactly.
And so would it be wise to say that George Floyd's, the result of George Floyd's death was more impactful? I don't think that would be the right way to go about it, because yes, it put a huge scope on the carceral state that we live in. But a lot of what that carceral state that we live in, that police state that we are experiencing, part of it is due to the degradation of economic positions that we, especially Black people, are put in. So then we have to maybe commit crimes of desperation and crimes of opportunity. And so therefore, then you get somebody like George Floyd when they think that he has a counterfeit 20, whether or not he did or didn't. The thing is that if you thought he did, then why did he feel like he had to use it if he did have it? Because people usually don't get down to what the real root cause is.
Yeah.
And I think that with the death of George Floyd happening, that was focusing on some of the issues down the line that we were dealing with because of the cause of the economic disparities that we were dealing with, which Dr. King was trying to get at. See, in my view, Dr. King was trying to pull the tree out from the root, whereas the George Floyd protests cut it around the trunk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I hear you.
So as far as that comparison, I would have just stayed away from that.
Yeah, I could show you if I brought it up and shared it on my screen.
Yeah.
Would you be able to share it? Yeah.
Yep.
George Floyd's.
All right, let me start it over.
But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did. But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
Yeah, and I think you can hear Kamala saying, But there's an example. I would love to hear, how did he lead up to that?
Yeah.
And even though I'm sure, on his face, it looks really terrible. It sounds terrible. It sounds.
Yeah. I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone that far.
Yeah.
Because even though what happened to him was worldwide, what Dr. King was doing was trying to prevent a George Floyd from happening. So,
yeah. He was trying to change. A lot of people don't know he was trying to change. He wanted to change, or he spoke against the capitalistic system.
Yeah,
and that's what we need change. If you talked about, you said it perfectly. If to uproot the whole tree is to change the system. To trim at the top is to make little changes here and there of the current system.
Yeah,
but we're at the point where I think capitalism has run its course, and we see a better way. And it's time to make that shift to the next system. We've gone from kings and queens to serfdoms and all these different economic systems, where it's giving more and more power to the people. And from capitalism was that next step from that. And I think it's run its course. It's time for the next step.
Yeah. Even from a kind critique, you can say that we now see the imperfection in capitalism, and so it's now time to move on from that.
Yeah.
We see the flaw in its design. Yeah. And so for us to stick with the flaw just because it's something we've always done, it just doesn't work that way. I forgot exactly how this quote goes, but the arc of justice is long. The arc of the universe is long and bends towards justice. I think it's
I know what you're talking about. I don't.
But
quote myself.
But it's not just a social justice; it's also an economic justice. And what is economic justice? Is that we all collectively, work together in order to improve our society as a whole. We have, essentially used capitalism to extract so much that we built up the wealth of just one country. But unfortunately, we did it off the backs of many people who are indigenous, who are of African descent, all over the world. And, they already decimated people who look like you and I. They've been done decimated the people who are of indigenous descent. Now the people who are Asian and in the Middle East, it's now their turn.
Mm.
And unfortunately, we are seeing it in real time. And a lot of us now are saying, no, 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 no. This is how we got into this situation. Now you're putting other people in this situation. We have to stop this. And that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of hopeful, especially with not with just our generation, but with Gen Z and then Gen Alpha. I'm more hopeful for them because they're observing what we're saying and doing,
Mm.
and they're like, whoa,
Yeah.
what do they do?
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
change this. This isn't right.
No, I'm definitely hopeful because the way I educated myself was on YouTube, and the only thing is with YouTube and the algorithms, like I think they
Yeah.
have to be very specific about what they're looking for. It's not like they can just fall into these right things in the right path.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could be that helpful, but I would say the fact that the education is out there if you want to find it. That's definitely the good thing about today's day and age. You know, as we advance and as years go on, it seems like knowledge continues to be easier and easier to find. You could get it. We have it on our phones, for example. We could watch a whole movie or whatever on our phones. And I'm hoping that people, you know, all these taboo topics like socialism and et cetera, you can find that now and in friendly places where they're not demonizing it.
Yeah.
But like I said again, as long as they can find it in a way that is they have critical thinking and they can distinguish and say, okay, let me find good actors and let me listen to both sides. I think that we will win. I think we will win out.
Yeah, definitely. You literally answered my second question without even me asking it.
There you go.
So
we here, brother. We here.
yeah. We definitely are. I just wanted to get to my next question. Can you tell us about what the People's Gauntlet is and how it can be utilized? Now,
Yeah, so
I already have it up.
Oh, you have it up. Okay, perfect.
Of course.
Yeah. There is a huge vision for the People's Gauntlet that I split up into phases. And I'm just, with all the stuff going on, I'm trying to build it out slowly. But as recently as yesterday, someone finished all 5 gauntlets, meaning that they became a People's Contender. Now it's up to me. I have to edit the video and post it out there and then add them to the website. So we're going to have a new person right there. You have 3, and then below is the one more person, but we're going to be adding a 5th person, Steve Holden, who I just interviewed about an hour ago. He's going to be joining the People's Gauntlet. And first of all, the whole vision for the People's Gauntlet, right? We donate to politicians, or for the most part, the idea is to donate to politicians, to volunteer for them, and then hopefully they get into office and they vote our way. But a lot of times we find that that's exactly what they're not doing. So it's come to the point where, you know, you hear about the squad and you hear about all these different progressives who get in there and they use independent media to get it to get promotion, and then they get into office and they hardly go back on mainstream media. It almost feels like it's a one-way relationship all the time. So I thought to myself, well, one of the things I would love to put candidates through a gauntlet so that they do something for us. If you want our money, if you want us to volunteer for you, you got to do something for me. And the People's Gauntlet is not easy. You know, it's 5 different topics. If you go down, you can scroll down a little bit. I just want to show the audience the part where the gauntlets are on that same page. There's 5 gauntlets, and right there, there's 5 gauntlets. You can click on each of those tabs. It's the economy and well-being gauntlet, it's the justice gauntlet, the democracy gauntlet, the domestic policy gauntlet, and the foreign policy gauntlet. And they each range from between 10. The only one is 10 is the economy and well-being gauntlet, but the rest are more like between 6 and 7 topics. And the idea is a candidate will talk in the camera and tell you how they feel about each of those topics, right? And the whole point of this is There are candidates who are just running for themselves. Like, hey, I want to become a congressperson. I see myself as this big dignified person. So let me go run for Congress and win. But then there's people who are really doing it for the people. You know, that they have that not me, us mentality, and they really care about these issues that you see in front of you. And you can definitely tell when the difference between the people who do care and the people who don't care. Matter of fact, the candidates, and I presented to candidates to join the People's Gauntlet, and a lot of them haven't reached back out. You know, thankfully there are people who said, like those 4 who said we'll do the gauntlet, and there's other people on the queue like that have to reach out back to and let them do the gauntlet or whatever. But there's a lot of people out there who says they're progressive. They say they're for these things, but they're not doing it. And I don't know if it's, and I think this is what I think it is more than anything. They're thinking, what do I get out of this? When, if you're a person is a not me, us, you would see the vision for what we're trying to do and say, you know what? I want to participate. I want to help this vision. I want to help this infrastructure build. So that's something that I've definitely learned in my process of doing the People's Gauntlet. So I've talked enough. If you have any questions or anybody have any questions before I continue.
Of course. And just full disclosure, I did meet Juan Paredes.
Awesome. Yeah. He's in Florida. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He was at the Medicare for All March, and he was one of the speakers, just like, me. Nice. And I was very harsh when it comes to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And he was basically in full agreement with everything I was saying.
Yeah.
And it was a really great conversation to have with him. And I will admit that was really nice to talk to him. As far as electoral politics, I personally do not jive with the Democratic Party anymore. However, if that's the way you want to go, then that is your prerogative, and everything he said to me was impressive. So it was cool to see that somebody like him was able to get on this.
Yeah, well, that's why I love these conversations, right? And like you said, you and the Revolutionary Blackout Network, you're more for mutual aid and building that side of the equation, where this is literally an electoral politics kind of infrastructure or initiative, right? But we're not butting heads. You still invited me on your show, and we're still having the conversation, right?
Yeah,
and that's what we need more of. That we need more of that. And by the way, if you go to the candidates page, or if anybody goes to the peoplesgauntlet.com and there's the candidates page, you would see that this is a nonpartisan initiative. So even though I believe all of these people, I think Sass might be, he initially was an independent, but all of them are Democrats. We are ready and willing to get Republicans. We're really wanting members for People's Party, Green Party, Socialist Party, non-affiliate, just meaning anybody. If you want to do the People's Gauntlet, then we're open to it. And the whole point of that, a phase of the People's Gauntlet that's going to be coming down the line, what I like to do is look at the past and see what worked, even if it worked for neoliberals, and try to apply it to leftists. So, for example, Obama consolidated all the moderates against Bernie in the 11th hour in South Carolina, and he was able to consolidate that power against the one progressive. So I thought to myself, okay, what if we had a system in every district at every level, we could find a way to consolidate the left power or the left candidates into one to have them go up against the establishment. So the idea right now is that, let's say in district, I'm just going to throw out a district 1, you have a Democrat running, Movement for People's Party is running, a Green Party is running. Those 3 people running. Let's say they all do the People's Gauntlet and they all become People's Contender. Then at some point, and I don't know exactly when just yet, like if it's 6 months before the primary or maybe 2 months before the primary, the people will decide, look at the gauntlets, and whoever, mainly the people in that district, they'll look at the gauntlets and say, you know what, I really like the Democrat who's running as a leftist. let's give them the vote. I'll vote for them. And if that's the person that gets the people's champion vote, then everybody else will drop out and support that person. That's the idea. Now, what if the Green Party person gets the top vote? Then the idea is, and this is when the real not me us is tested, right? Imagine doing you're campaigning for 6 months, you do the People's Gauntlet, and they don't pick you. Do you say do you drop out in good faith and support the candidate that we all decide to galvanize behind? Or do you say, you know what, I'm the progressive Democrat and I have a better chance of winning, I'm just going to keep going, when you already pledged or you said that you would drop out? So this is the kind of test that we're going to see the character of candidates. And the best thing I could do is hopefully this becomes a more popularized thing. Think of it like Justice Democrats before AOC was elected. You know, nobody knew who they were. So that's the stage we're at, where we don't have that clout and that name recognition just yet. But hopefully at some point when we get more, you know, maybe the next cycle, as we get more and more notoriety, we'll be able to demand. And I would love for my independent left people like JB or Bree, Joy Gray, or anybody who becomes affiliated with the People's Gauntlet, when you have candidates that say, hey, can I come on your show? You'll say, hey, well, did you do the People's Gauntlet? Are you a People's Contender? Did you do all 5 gauntlets? Oh, you didn't do it? Go do that first, and then you could come on my show. Because now you got to do something. I'm not giving you my audience. I'm not giving you my platform unless you show in good faith that you are one of us by doing the People's Gauntlet. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
And audience, let me know what you think. I'm still, a lot of this, I'm doing this with the people. I kind of started the initiative, but I'm more than happy to be open to suggestions. I want people in the chat to collaborate, because I'm going to need you all to join to be able to vote for who becomes a champion. So this is an open source collaborative effort.
I'm looking at some of the comments here. Raziel the Great says, I never worried about them at the beginning. Nancy Pelosi started out actively fighting for universal health care. My concern is once they go to the district of corruption. Yeah.
So that's a good point. The question is, and I don't know this just yet, like every cycle, do they do the whole People's Gauntlet over? I don't know if that's exactly necessary, but we should have something to hold them accountable. So maybe, like, let's say they did the People's Gauntlet already, but now they have a progressive challenger. They should be obligated to have a discussion and AKA debate. I was thinking, when it's us family, like us leftists, maybe we shouldn't call it debate because it's really divisive. I said, hey, let's have a discussion where we can talk about the issues, and then we can find out whether or not we want to continue with somebody. So, for example, Nancy Pelosi, and I think, what was his name? Not Chakrabarty. That's the other person that started Justice Democrat. I'm trying to think of the person that's challenging Nancy Pelosi. I don't know why.
Shahid
Buttar. Thank you. I'm just blanking out for a minute. So if, let's say Nancy Pelosi did the People's Gauntlet years ago, let's say it existed. As a people's contender or a people's champion or previous champion as an incumbent, you'll be required to have a discussion, aka debate, whatever you want to call it, with the people who are challenging you. Right now, Nancy Pelosi hasn't done a debate in like 20 years or something like that. That's
ever since we came into Congress, I think.
Right. So that's unfathomable, is unethical in my opinion. I know it's legal, but like, you should be continually going back to the people, talking to the people, letting people know where you stand on the issues so that we can hold you accountable. And I think that's a way that the People's Gauntlet can hold our candidates accountable.
Raziel continues, says, I agree. All options needs to be on the table to universal understanding, and no more browbeating like we're gatekeepers against those who want to keep trying from the inside.
100%. Sound like you. Okay, go ahead.
Gary Seth says, personally, I'm done with scam politics, but there may be some merit in the black voting bloc boycotting the Dems in 22 and 24. It will have to be powerful. It it would have been a powerful 2020, could have dinged the universe in 2016.
See, I would love to see. I hate that when people say I'm not going to vote. Period, because it's like voting is just a tool in the toolbox. So if you're deciding to, nail, if you have a screwdriver, a screw, and you're nailing it in, then it'll be hard to take it back out. So that's why you need a screwdriver, and that's voting is like a screwdriver, where it's just a tool. So in that situation, I would rather see Black people start their own party, even if we know it's brand new and it's not going to go nowhere. At least I could vote for whoever is going to be on that Black ballot, that Black party ballot. That's just me personally how I feel about it. I don't care about what the quote unquote wasted vote. Like I said, I've never voted for a Democrat at the presidential level since the very first time that I voted. Yeah.
And for me, I feel like, it's a tool, but is it a tool that works, that performs? And I think how we use it has to be important. The thing is that I feel like if we keep going the same route, we just don't get results, which is one of the reasons why I think that you creating the People's Gauntlet, us going the route of more mutual aid and direct action, we're going different routes in order to push for that same thing. So I just hope that both of us are deeply successful in whatever we do.
It's funny. I've been trying to court Nick, Socialist MMA, Nick Cruz, to run for something. I don't even care what party or whatever. But and the main reason is because I think not only is he a charismatic, very intelligent man, but I think only he can catch this vision of something that I've been thinking about, the People's Gauntlet, a phase of the People's Gauntlet. And that would be, we need to have organizations at the local level that will not only do electoral politics as far as, let's say, getting Nick into office, but outside of those election cycles, what do they do? Mutual aid, right? So let's say, for example, for lack of a better name, let's say the People's Gauntlet of Kansas, because I know Nick is in Kansas. Outside of the political the cycles, they can be doing, and I would envision like Nick having his volunteers going knocking on doors. They have his pamphlet to give out, but they'll knock on his door and say, "Hey, I represent the Nick Cruz campaign, but before I want to tell you about it. I want to ask, like, how can I help you today? What do you need help with? Do you have a furniture? If you're the only person living in this house and you have an old furniture that you've been meaning to take out, but you're by yourself, is that something we can help you out with? We have a couple guys we can come pull it to the curb so that the trash can take it away. Do you need? Oh, your lawn looks like it's a little high. Do you need us to help you cut it? We can't do it every week, but we can. I see this is something that you need help with. We can put you on our list and we can help you out. Mutual aid. That's from what I imagine. You could correct me if you can. That you want to be able to change people's life at that local level, and then say, I'm also volunteering for Nick Cruz, and we're hoping to get him into Congress and give the spiel. But you want to first show, whether it's a Republican, a Democrat, or independent, you want to show people that you care, and not only wait till it's time to vote. You want to do that outside of those times as well. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what shifts, because the thing is that you're not asking what can you do for me, you're asking what can I do for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you're asking that, and then you do it, if you're willing to do it outside the bounds of government, then imagine what you're willing to do inside. So yeah, I mean, I'd be impressed if I saw somebody doing that, and if they did it without having any notoriety while doing it.
Yeah, one of the pushback that I've heard is, oh, a candidate's time is valuable, a volunteer-based time is valuable, that they need to be doing blah blah whatever it is. But as somebody who hasn't really dove in, that's why I like to get a lot of feedback, and I interview a lot of people who are into electoral politics, and I hope to get some other people on to ask them about the inner workings of a campaign. I want to not just be ignorant about it, but I'm just using my imagination of what a campaign can look like. And I think that it hurts me a little bit when people say, oh, we shouldn't be wasting our time on that. They should be getting the vote out or this and other stuff, because it's like me, just exactly what I've been talking about. It's like they're having the Hillary was like, I'm with her, while Bernie was like, not me, us. So it's like me, help me out to get elected. And it's like, no, we should be building something where we could all build a mutual solidarity. So that in that circle of, and I think I brought it up in the 3 weeks, the 3-day General Strike Summit. I had a little graphic that talked about it. Independent media, the grassroots, and candidates, electoral politics. Those three things. And if we had a circle going to each of those different topics, that's the left synergy that's going to get us change. I truly believe that, and hopefully we can get there.
Yeah, it's just like full disclosure, I used to preach door to door for over 20 years, and one of the things that we learned.
You used to preach door to door.
Oh yeah, wow, for 20 years. I used to.
Okay.
One of the things that we learned was, if you help people out, they're more receptive to your message. Just being a good neighbor just makes people more receptive.
Exactly. Yep.
And they see who you truly are by the actions, which is why I like what Terry Connolly said. It says actions speak louder than words when it comes to politics, in my opinion. That being said, I only know of a few socialists doing that, and which is true. Thing is that if I know that you came and did something for me that you didn't have to, but you did out of the goodness of your heart because you're a member of the community, and then I find out that you're running for office, and I saw that you're the type of person that's willing to help others out in need in that material way, that's going to make a person more likely to vote for that person.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it also has to be done without trying to make themselves look good. It's more done out of altruistic reasons rather than exploitative. And so that's one of the things that you have to be careful about, because sometimes they will do it for exploitative purposes. Just like it's just like those channels that talk about, that they're giving out to the homeless, and then they post views about it, and then they do it so that they can get hundreds of thousands or millions of views. And it's like, well, did you do it for the views or did you do it for the person?
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that, because I
think like there's just these little gestures that you hear about that you're just like, that somebody's the real deal. Like, with Bernie, he wanted Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016. He didn't want to run. And it's only because she did not run that he said, all right, we need some kind of leftist answer to Hillary Clinton, so I'm going to run. With Kasama Shawant over there in Seattle City Council, she doesn't take anything more than $15 an hour. Like, that's crazy to some people. I mean, I know even me, I'm like, look, can I pay off my student loans first and then I'll take the minimum wage? You know what I'm saying? So for her to do that is showing a lot of integrity. Can every person who's saying they're progressive, can they say, I'm going to forego in Congress is $144,000 a year?
About 100, about 100, it's around 140, maybe 145, something like that.
So that six-figure salary, are you going to say, I'm going to forego that so that I can make the least of these amount of money, which is the $725 an hour, so that you all will know that I'm fighting for that? I'm sleeping. Some Congress people at times sleep in their office, and that can definitely give you the kind of a little bit of taste of the experience that's out there. But definitely giving yourself a minimum wage, and year after year you're giving yourself that minimum wage check. Man, I would be surprised if there's ever a candidate that does what Shawan is doing in Seattle.
If we could find them, we can find them.
Yeah.
Yo, I didn't even get to the rest of my questions yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I talked too much.
Yo, this conversation is too damn good.
Yeah.
This conversation, you know what this conversation is like? This conversation is like a really good spaghetti dinner. It tastes so good, you want to keep eating, but you're getting so full that you can't.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. You make me hungry, man. JB, you make me hungry.
Hey, man. I dabble in the kitchen a little bit,
Nice.
Yeah. But I do want to get to my next question. If this tab can get out of my face, God, this computer.
I try to do rapid fire if you want to go through a couple of them. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So, all right. If you can do this in 30 seconds or less, I'll be very deeply impressed because I couldn't do it.
Okay.
What is one of the biggest? What in the world? Sorry, this thing. See,
I brought up my timer too, so I'm going to see if I can do this.
Okay, all right. What is one of the biggest? What is one of the biggest learning curves you had to learn when becoming a content creator in this space?
What is the biggest learning curve that I learned? I'm already an IT kind of tech kind of guy, so it wasn't a lot that I had to learn. It was more like having a good workflow.
Got it.
Just to give away some of my secrets, I use Filmora X. I use that as editing software when I need to edit down. But then there's a program called Bandicut and Bandicam. That's what I do for screen capture. Bandicam. And then I use Bandicut, the same company, Bandicut, to if I need to cut it down. And that workflow has helped me. Like, it automatically puts my watermark, the logo there, and it captures pretty well. So outside of that workflow, there wasn't really much. I already love what I was doing, watching politics. I love watching, listening to different ideas and listening to politics. So that was a no-brainer. It wasn't a big deal for me. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
All right, thank you.
And I gave away a secret so you guys could help me out.
All right, so this was gonna be a hypothetical question. All right, hypothetical. You are president of the United States, and it is January 20th. It is your inauguration day. Yeah. What are your first 3 actions that you're taking as president within your first 100 days?
So this is excellent. This is what I want to talk about when it comes to like 2024. This is what I want for my progressive answer to Biden, whoever that person is, Marianne Williamson, Nina Turner, whoever it is. I want to demand from them, which is what I would do, executive orders, right? And now people are going to say, I've had some pushback if they said that Republicans going to say, oh, you're authoritarian and you're da-da-da. I mean, Trump and these other guys do executive orders all the time. So the way I'm going to try to market it politically to the people, I'm going to say, hey, look, Congress is broken. We had the House, we had the Senate, and we have me as the Democrat, or in my past administration with Biden, and they couldn't get things done. You got Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema preventing change. So this forces my hand. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to work with Congress, but they forced my hand. I have to do executive orders. I'm going to forgive federal loan, student loan debt, forgive it completely. I'm going to take marijuana off Schedule 1. I'm going to legalize it at the federal level. And I'm going to we're in a pandemic, people, Medicare for all, emergency action to everybody. Those are the 3 top things that I'm going to do. And even if January 20th, COVID, everybody's saying, oh, COVID is going down and it's, going away. We finally reached now I'm going to say, nope, we still in emergency. We need to get it done. I'm declaring emergency. And Biden did this for Texas when they had that snowstorm. I forgot if it was a year ago or whenever. He did that for Texas, so the president can do it for the whole country. So I'm going to give the country a taste of Medicare for all, and then I'm going to dare the Democrats to say, take this away. I dare you to take it away from us.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yeah. All right, so we got like 3 minutes. Okay, so what is something that you're going to double down on in 2022?
Solidarity and wanting to preach that, and thankfully it sounds like it's coming into the ether that you've said the nice words that you said at the very beginning. But I want to double down on the left. My dream would be to get Cenk and Jimmy Dore to collaborate, however way that looks. They're on the left, and some people will argue that certain people are not on the left. I would say they're part of the left ecosystem, wherever you want to put them. But they're our biggest giants, and we have to find a way for us all to collaborate, starting with the people with the most subscribers. Thankfully, isn't it funny that us with not as many subscribers, like we could get along a little bit easier? Maybe because we just talk to each other. I don't know what it is, but it seems like the more subscribers you have is like the harder you are to reach, and the less you are to reach out to people on the other side, people you disagree with. Like JB, if you disagree with me on something, let me know. Let's hash it out, and then we hug it out at the end of it. We don't have to turn it into something trifle, but also our rhetoric doesn't have to be so venomous. Because I can see how having that type of rhetoric, how do you expect to reconcile with someone if they're calling you out your name and cursing at you and all these different stuff? It's just unnecessary. So, but that's what I want to double down on in 2022.
Yeah, I'm calling you and I'm DMing you. I ain't going on Twitter.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, especially if I got your number and I say, "Oh, I disagree with that." Just hit,
definitely. Okay, so what is one food that Case cannot live without?
Oh man, there's so many. I'm such a foodie. I love everything. I mean,
so am I.
Well, I don't know if I like escargot. I was gonna say I think that's snails. I've tried it before, but I it's not something I would eat on a regular. What did you say, Jay? You said something, JB?
I said I'm a foodie too. Can you see?
Yeah. I used to say, I guess, Italian food. I really love Italian food, but I've been into my West Indian. My parents are from Barbados, so I've been really into my West Indian food recently. But man, I can't choose one particular dish. I just love them all. I really can't.
That's okay. That's an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna get you in trouble. What's your favorite curse word?
I don't curse. I really don't curse at all. I'm a pastor's son, and in college I probably would be cursed. But recently, I play the piano. As you can see, I have a piano right here. I play the piano in my church, and I'm just not a cursor at all. Really,
that's fine too.
Yeah,
that sometimes we'll say Sugarfoot or something like that.
It
is what it is. That's cool. All right, so this is the last one. You're on your deathbed reflecting on your life. What is the one thought you want people to remember about you?
Yeah, I just want people to remember about me that I'm a person that would like to be remembered as someone who had agape love. And agape love is basically when you show love without needing love, without needing to be shown love. Just somebody that just gives love without needing it back. You know what I'm saying? That's what I hope people will say, man, he's just like a Cornel West is the best example of somebody that just pours into people, pours and pours into people,
Yeah.
And I'm not Cornel West, but I strive to be somebody with his spirit. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. I deeply admire that, because I feel the same way. Yo, we managed to get through all the questions. I couldn't even do that with Rome.
Okay. I beat Rome. All right. Cool.
Tighten up, Rome. But yeah, so I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
this was such a great conversation. Yeah. And I deeply appreciate it.
This was fun.
Yeah. And the people who are listening to the podcast, they managed to get all the questions, which is great. So really, I'm just on the screen now. But
okay,
I just want to thank you because number one, you were kind enough to come on this tiny little channel, that's still growing.
Nothing. That's nothing, my man. It's nothing to be on with my man JB. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was in Orlando when we first met. Actually, when you were on the Vanguard, we were on the Vanguard, and you were on the Vanguard.
Yeah,
and they brought me on, and I was actually in Orlando when that happened.
You were?
Was this a year ago? This had to be maybe a year.
Yeah, it was a year ago.
Yeah.
It's like when we first started, when it was first, FHL before we became RBN. I was on the Vanguard in the early days. But it was early April or early May. Yeah. What?
That is hilarious. I think, you know what? I'm going to go to it real quick because on the People's Gauntlet, I have like media hits that I did. And there's the Vanguard there. I'm going to click on it and see if that was it right there. And yeah. Show my screen real quick.
Oh, hold on.
I'm not going to play it. There it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah. August 28th, 2021.
Wow.
So that's when I first met you on the Vanguard. So
really?
we did the show together by ourselves, and it was fun, a lot of fun. Yeah, man, I really appreciate you, my man.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Because that had to be when was that? It was
August 28th.
Oh, that was August 28th. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought it was a lot earlier than that.
I thought so too, but it's like maybe 6 months. Yeah, man. Now I was in Orlando. We were on vacation, and I remember like Gavin just hit me back because I was trying to get on the show to promote the People's Gauntlet. And even though we were on vacation, I said, "Babe, you gotta let me do this. It's gonna take maybe a half an hour. Let me jump on this real quick." And she said, "Okay, just close the door." We was in the resort or whatever, and I was able to do a quick media hit. Yeah, with my man JB.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I know you said you come down to Orlando. Definitely when you come down, and I'll exchange, more information, once we're off the call. Definitely. But once we do that, then we can definitely talk about, just getting together and maybe even doing a show live and in person. Of course, it had to be after this whole
craziness. Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, I would love to be able to just like sit next to you and just have a conversation.
That would be fun.
Because I have met people, and this is when people say, "Oh, Twitter is not real life." It is. Number one, how do you think we made RBN?
Yeah. Okay.
And on top of it, I have met some people in real life, from Twitter. I have the pictures to prove it, by the way. And so it was a way for us to come together, and which is something I really think is awesome. So, next time you're down in Orlando, hit a brother up.
Definitely. I met Josana at the Medicare for All March. They had an event in Manhattan, and I was able to meet Josana, and I met a couple other people that I usually see on Twitter. So it was definitely a lot of fun. So definitely.
Rome is in New York right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. He went to the Amazon protest yesterday.
Oh man, I missed that.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
We're actually live.
Oh man. Okay, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So in Rome, he yelled down the police.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. He made him get back in their cars.
I love Rome and those commie corners, those are like but those get crazy, so I'm not even going to mention anything. What happens in the commie corners stays in the commie corners. That's all I'm going to say.
I love it.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all. That's all it needs to be said. I know.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Those are Twitter Spaces, by the way, for people in the chat. If you go on Twitter, he has those sporadically, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Case, I know you got to get your kids because you're a devoted father.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
But, I just want to wish you the best 2022, not just, health, but peace, overwhelming peace and joy for the rest of the year, bro.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you.
I had a lot of fun and looking forward to next time. Appreciate it. And love to the chat. Much
All
love,
right.
Troy C. All right. Peace.
Yep. Love to all of you people in the chat. And I just want to thank you guys all for joining. And my ending notes just went away. Oh, well, whatever. Look.
Let's say a shout out to Will Pilgrim, my man over there, real quick.
Yeah.
Much love to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Good to see everybody in here. You all are so great. And so
Gary
so
C. Seth.
Yep.
See.
Yeah.
Brazil the Great.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Terry Conley. Awesome.
Definitely. Anybody else that's watching, please make sure to. Oh, Leroy got his. Sugar honey.
Yeah. That's what would be said instead of any curses. Yeah.
Yep. But I just want to say, if you guys are, haven't yet, please make sure to, give down a like, share this on social media, because guess what? The algorithm doesn't like people like me, doesn't like people like Case. So guess what? Like and share, spread the love. Also, if you guys would like to, you guys can, buy me a coffee. It's in the description here below. Case, I think you have a Patreon or something like that too.
Yeah, if you can check out on Twitter, I do have a link tree that has access to Patreon or Cash App and anything. I would appreciate any contribution, but if not, that's fine. But much love and love to everybody.
Yeah, man, send him a few dollars, please. This man does so much for us. So go ahead.
It's now going towards my Twitter Blue and I do have a StreamYard also, but the Twitter Blue is cool because it's definitely letting me. I don't have to worry about the time constraints anymore. It just gives you straight up to 10 minutes, so that's really cool. And I would love feedback. Hopefully, you guys like it. So definitely let me know.
All right. Thanks so much, Case.
Yeah, thank you, JB.
All
much love to you.
All right, love to all of you. Peace, love, chicken grease, all that stuff, all that good stuff. I'll catch you. Hold on. Wait, what did I do? Oh, JB, tighten up, man.
Much love, Lori, Bresford, Gary Seth. All right. Peace.
Bye, y'all.